If you ever want to know how to breed?
You're gonna breed brakes?
Yep. Tongue twister. All right. Did you want to know how to replace or rebuild your complete braking system on an old hot rod? 60s, 70s, 50s, whatever it was. Well, today we're going to go cylinder, brakes, pads, drums, lines, bleeding, fixing leaks, the whole 9 yards. We're going to do the whole thing all in one video. So let's get started. So it comes with for the backside, it comes with a little clip that goes inside the piston that basically holds that in place, and it's just a press fit, just like that. Boom. And then the other one goes in like this, and it just kind of rides. It's got a hole that goes through that holds it in place on the ends, the holes where the piston goes through. It's got a little piece here, see, right here and right there, where it just kind of rides. And then we just get her in place over the caliper, and it'll kind of hold itself. And then we take our pins, we bring them in from the backside, and I guess this one is asking for the shims to be correct. And you can put both in at the same time. One up here, and there's holes in for them to go through. You really can't put them on wrong. These are the ones that, after they've been sitting for 20 years, have rusted in place. You got to take a crowbar to. And then once you got the pin all the way through and it's into the threads, you just take your ratchet and you tighten her down, and it will thread itself in place. And normally I would already be using anti-seize on these, but it came with it on it. It's already there, so you just kind of work it in, and you work the bottom one, and you want to know right from left, whichever one. The bleeder is always going to be the top. Bleeder will never be on the bottom. So the bleeder, which is right here, next to it, so you can bleed the brakes once you get everything put back together, will always be on the top. And since these are new and they're dry, they're completely decompressed, so that you have plenty of space. And you can always just make sure that when you're tightening them down, make sure that your rotor still spins. That way you got no interference. Give it a tap on one. Come back down to the bottom. Make sure you're good. Give it a tap, and you are done. You have now just put your new brake caliper on. Goes from that hole in the frame, down here to this fitting here on the back of the caliper. Yeah, right there. If you ever want to know how to do a double flare for brake lines, and just it seemed like it was just like voodoo or something, well, today I'm going to show you how. We're going to do some. We got a couple on this truck that they literally were so corroded they just snipped off. I got one right here, and I cleaned it. I heated it twice, and you can tell that it doesn't look like there's much corrosion on it, but as soon as I tried to twist it out, it just snapped in place. So I cut the end off of here for here, and I use a pipe cutter. I use this pipe cutter, and it cuts it off nice and even like that. And I took the wire wheel to it, cleaned the end off, got a new fitting. This is the little contraption we're going to use, and this is because it's the main brake line. It's a 1/4 inch brake line, not a 3/16. So you use the 1/4 end. You just take your piece and you line it up just like that, and that is your end. And once you get it where you want it, you tighten this one up. And you tighten this one up. You tighten these two up. It cinches it down. It's got little grooves. You see the little grooves inside there? That holds it in place. So it does. We already have the fitting on. This goes in here because it has a little spot to keep it open. And this is what actually flares your tool, because we're going to use that. And we're going to come from the front side and we're just going to press it. And I'll show you how this is done. See, it shows the piece you're going to use, shows the size. 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. I'm going to slip this over. Slip this back. See if we can slip this around. Might have to go all the way back. There we go. Okay. And then it centers up in the cup all on its own. And see how it's designed to go ahead and just center itself there. And you can do this by hand. It doesn't take much. That material is pretty soft. And you basically just bring it in until it bottoms out. Okay. Sometimes it's easier just to use a little crescent, something to hook it with, and then we'll just use that. That should be good. All right, let's temporarily put it in the hole, kind of run it up here where we kind of need it. All right, we got a little clip that goes on here, clips them both together again. We'll kind of squish her around, move around a little bit. My hand. There we go. We'll just loosely put this in for the moment. There we go. That is how you put a new fitting on an old line, and we'll have to bend on this a little bit and make it, play around with it and make it look good. But I have one more to do here, and this one, I got one more to do. This one, I got to put another fitting on this one, but problem is that line goes all the way to the back brakes. It's one piece. So I got to do that right here loose, and I got to figure out a way to do it. So this one got cut right off. Okay, so looks like Junior cut this one, and there should be enough stroke in there. Yep. Okay, if you want to know what the size is, that's the tube size 1/4 inch, thread size 9/16 by 18 inverted. It's a little bit off round. So when it's a little bit off round like this, what do? Well, you take. Anyways, these tube cutters like this, they're pretty cheap. I think I got $2 in this one, and it's really been really helpful. And it's a very simple process. You just do a turn, and it'll cut a groove, a square groove. You just do a couple turns, tighten it, do a couple turns, tighten it, do a couple turns, and it cuts it right off. And look at that. Yep, you can tell she's a little bit bent. Let's see. Is she still bent here? Nope. Well, we might have to straighten this a little bit here on this curve, because what I got to do is I've got to get this fitting down here so I can put my clamp on it to make my flare. It's got a bend in it. It's actually oblong. So what's the easiest way to do it? Well, you could take a vice grip and you could lightly start squeezing it here and there and tap this and straighten this a little bit. I'll have to rebend everything to get it all where it needs to go, which is not that big of a deal. These things are these old ones are pretty resilient. This straightened. So what's the easiest way to do it? And I'm going to tap it back here to try to straighten it a little bit. So, or I'll put it up against here and I'll tap it here, try to straighten it. We got a little bit of a bow in it, so we're just gonna, it doesn't take much. All I'm trying to do is get this to get back to about right here so I can put a flare on it. And so it's pretty much that's what we're trying to do, and we'll straight into it. This line, and I'm not hitting hard, but this line is pretty resilient. It will take a licking and keep on ticking. So just a couple of love taps. It's just a matter of trying to work it around the corner. All right, so she's still too crooked. All right. Yep. Bet you guys didn't know you could also use this as a straightener. You can. You put it in. If you've got cuts, it's bent, you know, and it's not wanting to work with you, you can actually use this as a straightener to get your nut on. It's just a matter of tightening her down. But I would have this off if it wasn't 15 foot long. But this definitely works. So if that works like it's supposed to, and we'll take a piece of sandpaper to that and clean it up, but if that works like it's supposed to, that should give us enough stroke to be able to put our fitting on. Look at that. Isn't that nice? All right, so then, since we got enough stroke, we're going to flip this back around, and we're going to put it on here, like this, kind of, sort of, for the time being, or we can do it like this, make it easier on ourselves. Then again, it's just the same thing. We're going to do this height the same as the implant, as the insert, so that we can get a good, now that we have our nut on the backside. Get this tightened down here and set where she's solid. All right, so we got the clamp in place. We got it solid, and then we'll just take this and hold the clamp while we're doing it. All right, and then we can just take the crescent and give it the squish like this. Bring it down. We'll give it the squish. There we go. And we'll loosen her back off. Looky there. That's all there is to it. Nice and flat. Now I'm going to have to bend this up a little bit to get this start. But that fixes both the problems that I had. This is a dynamite little kit. And it's from O'Reilly's. It is from O'Reilly's. It is it's the one that they rent out. And it is part number 67001. Now, if you want to go to O'Reilly's, you can get this, or I'll also put a link down below for a version of this to work with. And now, you wouldn't think something as simple as that works so good, but if you ever wanted to know exactly how to change your rear jump brakes and fix everything and do it all at once, well, today we're going to make a video about the rear brakes. We're going to do everything at once from beginning to end, stem to stern, and hopefully I'll teach you a little bit of things. We'll show you some tricks, and let's put some brakes on the back of Bamalam. We decided, I asked the question about what should we name this truck, and this truck is going to be named Bamalam. Oh, Black Betty, Bamalam. Oh, Black Lady, Bamalam. What is the first thing that we do?
Take a picture.
Take a picture. That's right. On both sides. It doesn't matter this side or that side. Take a picture of both sides. And we were lucky enough because I need to clean all this up, but it was already unbolted, and it makes it a lot simpler and easier to show you everything with the bed off, which the bed is going to need extensive work, as you can tell. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to do brakes today. All right.
First thing is
After you take a picture, you can basically just disassemble it. So I like to start at the springs. A couple tools that I like to use. You can get these are drum brake pliers. They're specially designed to work on drum brakes. So the easiest way to use these is they have an opening and then they have a claw. So the claw
for the springs.
Right. See the claw, you can get in here. You can hook onto it and use it like a set of pliers. Pull it off.
Oh, okay.
So you're not having to pull. You just use leverage.
I got you.
Or you use the open end. You use the open end. Kind of start it. Kind of spin it. Yeah. So.
Oh no, man! This is an 80 model, so this is its 44. Fixing to be 45. Happy birthday!
Happy belated birthday, there, Bam. But I get a hold of it.
You're trying to grab the spring from the front of it.
Yeah.
All right, springs out.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but that's what these holes are for. But, okay.
Oh, okay. So they
kind of come designed that way. So, this is your brake linkage, spring.
Which, if you're gonna ask, no, we're not putting the parking brake back on. It's Oklahoma. Then we don't have inspections.
There's your keeper.
Yep, keep that.
I need it. Sure. Brake bottom. This guy comes in.
What tool is that?
This is your self-adjuster tool.
Your self-adjuster tool, yeah. Why does yours look funkier than mine?
Because it's a little more, it's a little newer than old school design.
Okay, what tool is that?
This is your pad spring tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can tell, there's little lines in there, those grooves.
Yep.
Grab on the cap. And you can press it, you can spin it.
You've done a lot of brakes, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Once you get the springs out, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing, once you have all the parts off, you need to get this brake line loose. And
it is a 3/8.
it is a 3/8. And that's
390. So use metric sizes.
Yep.
Don't try to use. Because if you try to use metric sizes, you'll roll over these tube nuts.
And then you're pooped.
And then you're screwed, yeah.
Okay.
Clear real quick. Is that little cat kind of feeds through the backing plate into the wheel cylinder. The bleeder screw.
This one looks like, yep.
That's what a bleeder screw looks like. All right. Take these mounting bolts out. Well, cylinder's out of the way.
Yep.
Ready, nasty, piston blowing out of it.
Yep.
Leaking out of the main seals.
Yep.
She no good.
So yeah, you're gonna end up with a bunch of parts that you're just gonna throw away.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
there's some pieces on here that we're gonna keep. That you have to reuse. We'll clean them up. But now,
Like this big honking dude right here, the main hold for that. We'll break that loose. Pull it off.
power wheel it. Yep.
Couldn't I tell you? Too fine, but not too coarse.
Yeah. Look at that. That is what?
This is the main, where the brake pads sit. Is that main stud for it?
Oh, okay. It's the main hooking point. So nasty it's off.
30 years ish.
40 years.
44 years
And if you need more, there's another.
of just crud.
Once we're clean, yeah, she's open. She's open different. Make sure it rolls.
Good and lubricated. All right. So, she's clean. The best advice that I could give when doing drum brakes is make sure you don't throw away anything.
Or
drop brakes
or drop stuff.
until you have everything you need. So, on most brake pads, there'll be a left and a right. Or, in the case of these old square bodies, there's no left or right. On an OBS Chevy, they're marked left and right.
Okay, so what comes in the box is both the brake pads for the back.
Both brake. It's every box of pads you get, it's one for each side.
Those, which are the wheel cylinders,
Yep, these are the wheel cylinders.
they do not come with the kit.
No.
You have to buy them separate, which I highly recommend no matter what. If you're going to do the brakes, change out the cylinders because they're going to be dead. Because this is the heart and soul. This piece is the heart and soul of the brake system.
Yep.
Okay, tip number 1, measure your brake pads, because we went to O'Reilly's and we had the wrong brake pads. Because we had this thing completely assembled and figured out that the brake pads were not the right size. We measured the other side and found out that they were a full inch too wide. Yeah, and now brake pads, both of those for the cylinder, they have little grooves in them, and they actually go a specific way in the pads themselves. And then we got our backing bar that slides in place with a spring. There we go.
There we go. Now we're gonna get it all.
Now we need the springy in the yep.
Okay. What I tell you? It'll fit so nice now.
Bing! That's what you want to hear. Is that in place?
That returns back. Then we need those up here. Oh, hold in.
A lot of tension on this one.
Pop tension is an understatement. Springs do spring like things.
That ain't good. Oh, okay.
Ain't gonna what?
Done. Hmm.
Ain't gonna what?
Done. Done.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Ugh.
Now what he's doing is he's adjusting it wider so you get it kind of to the point where it kind of drags just a little bit on the caliper. I mean on the drum, and then you back it off a little bit.
Ew. Jesus.
If it's moving or not.
You have to. There it went.
Starting to scuff a little now. Yep. Hear it?
Out here. Good boy.
And there's a groove right there in the drum, in every drum like this, for it to for you to use your adjuster tool on your spreader.
Seeing through it's a pain. It ain't coming back. Is that centered?
Pretty close, yeah.
Any brakes?
Friendly brakes. Now all I gotta do is do the other side. There she's seated. There she went.
Yeah.
Spin her again now. Yep. And you, as you can hear it, here. Spin again. All right. You hear it? You hear it? Just that slight drag. That's what you want to have on this when you were starting. That's a good starting point. You want it to just barely drag so that you know you're close. Okay, we're gonna purge, bleed a new master cylinder. Okay, the first thing is we had to take these loose, and I just had them in there finger tight, just for temporary being. And then we have this nice little kit from where? O'Reilly's, right there on the table, and it's basically a universal master cylinder bleeder kit. And you just basically got to go through here and find which ones fill in the holes. And then there's two pieces that should be the two pieces in your hand. And then there should be a clip. And all we're going to do is we're going to take those and put them on there. And then you take the hoses and put them in their respective chambers. And then you can use this little clip to hold it in place. Like that. Just like that. That's how it works. And it'll hold it down to the bottom on both sides.
Think.
All right. Then all we need to do is get some brake fluid. All right. So you're probably going to need quite a bit. Especially since changing the master cylinder and having fluid already in the lines is one thing, but changing it and having the lines being completely dry, that's another. All right. And most of the times when you do that, you're going to start catching bubbles. Up right there, see it? Yep. And then you what he's doing is he's pressing on the brake pedal to blow the bubbles.
Don't do it fast.
Don't do it fast, because yeah, you'll wear it.
Watch the front line.
Yep. That's still air bubbles. And he's just, how fast would you say, but just kind of like slowly pushing it? There we go. All right, there we go. Okay, and then we're still getting air. Yep. There's another bubble. Here it comes. Blub, 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 blub. There's a lot of cavity in there. Those pistons and everything inside. It holds more fluid than what you think. And he's not pushing it fast. He's just kind of like working it. And that's all you got to do is, like they call it bench bleeding. You're doing the same thing. You're not forcibly hitting that pedal really quick. You're working the air bubbles out of the system.
As a high tech, you learn very quickly the faster you make fluid move, the more air that's produced.
Good point. Faster you make air move, the faster you make what?
Fluid move.
Faster you make, the faster you make fluid move, the more that cavitation. Yeah. Yep. And we are still catching air. Yep. Yep. The little bubbles. It made its own little bubbles, and it went back into the master cylinder. Plus, a master cylinder is designed to be gravity fed. So the longer it sits, like sometimes you might have an air bubble in your line somewhere, but gravity will eventually work it out. But still, you don't want to have that issue. You want to make sure that you've gotten all the air you can, oxygen out of this system. What? Back one ain't moving much. Like it was already done. You've lost a little bit, but it's not popping any bubbles right now. Actually, you can hear it pushing the air through the empty lines. So far, we ain't got no leaks yet. But then it's actually, that's the air coming from the system. It's got nowhere else to go but here. It's got nowhere else to go but here. That's the air coming actually out of the dry system. And it's going to really go once he pops that first bleeder off.
I think you're good. That back section is?
Yeah, I think you're good. You ain't got no more air bubbles in the back section. You're good. Then you ought to sit in there and press it with your foot, or that's what I'll do.
I would do that. However, nowhere to really sit and get your foot in there. But
I'll figure it out. All right. That's going to make a little bit of a mess. See? And then you just, yep, just bend it around wherever you need it. Back about my hand.
look at it.
Yep. It's bleeding air. Gravity. That's what I was talking about. Gravity is bleeding air. And then, yep, it's 9/16 end. And then just give her the squish. Because you're going to hear the same thing out of this as you heard of the front one. It's going to like be pushing air because of the back brakes.
All right.
All right.
To the back passenger side.
To the back passenger. Well, we got to add some more fluid quick. I used quite a bit up. What did we do with it? Oh, it's in there. All right. So what's the rule of thumb with brakes? With bleeding brakes, you start with the bleeder that's the farthest away from the master cylinder. So we're going to go back back passenger side, back driver side, passenger side, driver side. That's where pedal feels right. Pedal should have about 2 inches of stroke, and then you hit pressure. That's about the way it works. That's why it's got built in. That works with the brake switch on the pedal itself. It's got to have enough stroke for it to brake it so that the brake lights come on. But been my experience, about 2 inches of stroke before you feel it hit the pressure of that master cylinder. And then you should be pretty good. And that's a matter of just driving around. And the only thing that we don't have available on this right now is vacuum. I haven't run it long enough for it to be running vacuum, and I haven't pumped it up with it running. So, okay. Just got done bleeding everything, purging this new master cylinder, and bleeding all 4 brakes. And we did the back and came up to the front, started doing the front, and noticed the rear reservoir in this was empty after we'd already bled the ones in the back. So couldn't figure that one out. So we looked around the chassis of the truck to see if we could find a leak or if we blew a line or whatever we did, and we did. All right. So the line that we blew is this one right here. It's blowed. It is blown right here by the hanger. It's blown right here by the hanger, and it's actually squirting onto the back side of the frame. So it's back there behind there where I didn't see it. But it's definitely crusty and old. So I'm going to show you how to fix this. We're going to replace this line, but we're going to fix it. But we don't have a connection here. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix this. Because this one goes all the way to the front of the cab, goes around the frame to the proportion valve. So that's one piece. So, but we're going to have to fix this by taking a section out. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, first thing we're going to have to do, I already sprayed this. We're going to have to unbolt this coupling here. And there's a couple of hangers where this one is right next to this hanger, but then it runs underneath through here, see? And there's another hanger bolt that's up here. So to get this loose, I need to loosen this off first and then loosen the 2 hangers there and back here so I can pull this out enough to use my cutter to cut it, and so we can take it down to the parts store and get a replacement. All right, and like everything else in this world, everything's always a fight. So it ended up being the 7/16 here, but somewhere between a 14 and a 13 millimeter on that part. So we're just going to use this crescent wrench here. And so most generally these smaller ones, if I can get this to work for me. So we're loose there. We'll set those aside up here just for future use. And then I have to get a 1/2 inch and take this loose. See, they're just those snub self-tappers. Okay, now we got her loose. You see your jiggling, we got her loose. So now I need to take my tool and I'll show it to you here. Hey, if you're here and you're watching, smash that like button. It's down here somewhere. That like button's down there. It really helps out the channel. Okay, she's looking pretty cruddy right around that connection point there where it bends. See how it bends? So I'm going to cut it. I think I'm going to cut it about right there. Okay, and to do a job like this, this is the only tool you're going to need besides your regular hand tools, which you already own. This is a little tubing cutter, and it's made out of metal, and it's older than me, but it still works great. Okay, I just want to show this to you. This is how crusty and gross and nasty those lines can get after sitting in dirt for 5 decades. And it's so bubbled up and so roasted that I can't actually see the hole. And that's the problem, is that they get so corroded that you can't see a hole, a pinhole in this as you're putting one together. So necessary deal, we're just going to take, since I wanted this fitting, I need to match that fitting that's already on there, and we'll use a special little thing to fix that. See if I can get this to focus for you. There's your hole. See, but this is, I cleaned this, and this is the line that sat above. See if I can get this focus for you. This is the line that sat above. See, look at all those rust dimples. This section line, it wasn't going to last very much longer. Huh? Let me see, come on. That's all about to rust through. All rough like that. But this section right here sits above, right where the gas tank was, or gas tank would be on this 80 model, because the gas, and we're going to change over to the other side, but this sat inside that frame rail for 50 years, collecting dirt, sitting in junk, sitting in wet conditions, and it just rusted to pieces and literally just rusted a hole in it. Look at that. That's what was bleeding on me. But that's all those dimples. That's just rust. That's just untreated steel metal lines. That's just untreated metal lines in this line. Now this section, see the difference? You can see it here. Dimply. And then here, it's not, that section actually saw water drain off of it, so it didn't sit in its own junk. And that's all right. So what we're going to do is we had to replace the line, so we got the new line, and I already cut the piece off of it. And if you don't have one of these, you need one of these. This is like the best little tool ever. Metal, had it pretty much all my life, and it works so good for just taking pieces up. And I just basically, this thing is solid. This is what you call a compression fitting, and it's got 2 ferrules inside of it, and just basically you slip it on and you tighten it down, and it creates a compression fit so it doesn't leak. And I'll show you how. You just basically take the end off. All right. So basically, yep, you just take the end off, and you got to have your piece here first, and then your ferrule that goes on the tube.
Sure, ferrule.
And then this makes a compression fitting. About if you do it, and then we got to take this other part Then we need to clean the other end of the piece that I cut, put in there, and then we'll tighten everything down and make this fitting. All right, and then we're going to clean this off with some sandpaper, because this is the old pipe, but this is about the cleanest part of this old pipe. There we go. All right. Then it's just the same procedure.
Okay.
Yep. We're going to slip our end on.
Maybe.
Maybe we need to clean this a little bit more. Yep. I'd say we have to clean it a little bit more. That should be pretty good. And get this back out of the pocket one more time. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, you do have a belly pocket.
Yeah, no, I'm not used to wearing a
Hoodie.
Oh, by the way, talking about hoodies, you guys not notice? Fuck you. Established 1968. These will be on the website soon. If you guys want a hoodie this summer, just hook me up. Just check out unclebuckstuff.com. All right. Then we're going to slide this through here. And this one threads into here. And this one, look at that. There we go. And then this one goes on here like this. Now, when it comes to the center section, yeah, you can use just a regular wrench. But when it comes to the compression fittings, I always suggest using a line wrench for it. And it ain't got to be super tight. It's just got to be tight because that brass will compress and create the seal.
The ferrule.
With the ferrule, yeah. It's the same process as if you ever set up a mechanical fuel pressure
Gauge.
or oil pressure gauge on back, and you're using some of them are plastic, some of them are brass tubing, then you're good. Okay. All right, so that's done, and the threads look about even. So that's how you do a compression fitting, and then I have a couple of bolts, and it's actually off the frame. Yep. So they are 1/2 inchers, and I'm actually going to leave this one here because this is not touching, but I have one up here that I need to replace that I'm actually going to use a rubberized with some rubber shocker on it. Oh.
Makes you happy you're not a snake hunter, huh?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Makes you happy. I am not a snake hunter, that's for sure. That one would have bit me. Yeah, I'm running around looking for it. It's sitting right there. Okay, and that's all you got to do with that. All right. Now we got to go back to the master cylinder and fill it back up again and put some pressure to it and see if anything leaks.
Yay.
And then rebleed everything.
Yeah, I love brakes.
Gotta love brakes. All right, and that's how you do everything. Beginning to end, everything bled. So if you're still here, smash that like button. It's right there. Oh yeah, and I don't know if you guys have seen these, but it's Buck U, established 1968. Buck University hoodies. They'll be available on the website. So y'all have a great day, because a great day today could be everything fixed in a trustable brake system on your truck or hot rod in the morning. Y'all be good.